Hello friends, this is Bahar and welcome to my YouTube channel. Tonight I'm going to visit one of the greatest artists here in Florence, Italy. She's one of my best friends as well and can't wait to visit her last installation. So let's go together. Buonasera, eccola Victoria. Hi Victoria. Here you are, the artist. It's an honor really to be here with you.
It's an honor to be here with you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Victoria. Victoria, would you please tell us more about your installation?
Sure. This is an installation that I did in collaboration with my husband, Connor Malley. He's a writer, and we decided to form the duo Hypokaimononic Verses because the hypokaimenon is a word that comes from Greek that means, basically it's the essence of things. So when there's a transformation, it's a thing that still remains even though there was a change. And then verses because obviously he's a writer, so we like to combine both things together and both of our art practices together, let's say that. Yes, exactly. So he wrote, he's American too, like me, but he only wrote in Catalan and in Italian, and this is just an excerpt of what he wrote, and he wanted to write it on transparent paper just to kind of play with the transparency, and also he decided to use brown pen so that it dialogues well also visually with my artwork, and also, you know, we hand stitch the pages together so it also has a visual dialogue with my artwork too. So basically this is the installation and it's called Rajtom Ramis, and this art show is called Connection, okay? And it represents the fruits of our labor of the artwork that we made during an artist residency called Ritorno alla Normalità that took place in Barragazzo, where Brunella, the gallery owner, is from. Brunella, the gallery owner of Carta Vetra, the most beautiful gallery in all of Florence. yeah, exactly. Okay, and yeah, so through this open call, I was selected along with my husband to participate in the residency, luckily, and we were with we were actually with 4 other artists in total, and it was a really beautiful experience. We were in complete silence of nature, and it was really wonderful. I think that it was also vital to have some time to reflect after the worst of the pandemic had kind of happened, and obviously everybody was in a better place, so it was important to kind of reflect on that traumatic period. So for example, when we were there, obviously one of the things that I missed the most during the pandemic is not being close to nature. And so I just thought, like, oh, you know, like I really miss nature. So it was so beautiful to be just surrounded by nature and be in Barragazzo, a small, kind of very calm place to make artwork and to reflect, have a space to reflect. So when I was at the residency, though, there's this beautiful garden that has all of these enormous trees, and there were so many branches on the ground, and I found the composition of the branches so beautiful. I found the composition of the branches so beautiful, and I thought, like, I have to make something with these branches in dialogue also with the compositions that I'm seeing on the ground. And so I decided to collect all the branches, I cleaned them, and then I also put protection on them, and I made sure there were no insects in them as well. And Then I also had brought with me some cotton and linen that were basically scraps, because for me it's always important working with simple materials, and it's also important for me to work with scrap materials, because I think that it's important to use materials that are considered useless, you know, just as like a political act against kind of the over saturation of things that we have in our life, let's say. And so here, okay, going back to my artwork, so my work is called Rite Dome Ramis, again, like I said, because it represents lots of things. So the rhytodome is the oldest part of the tree bark on a tree, and it's like the more central part. And I chose this title also because rhytodome has an interesting etymology, and it comes from a Greek word which means wrinkle. So I like this connection with the textiles and with the cloth that I use in combination with the notion of bark as being like, you know, wrinkled wood, let's say. And so also I wanted to create this dialogue with the trees, because the trees, for example, the branches are the part of the tree that come out the most and that interacts, let's say, the most with the world, in the sense that they're reaching out, kind of like what we all have to do every day in our lives. And so I feel like during the pandemic, instead of reaching out into the world, we were called to become like more, like to kind of find our center again, you know, and to really feel like think about the essential basic things in our life that are the most important part of our life. So yeah, so basically by making the baking bark out of branches was very symbolic for that reason. And so also, like, I don't want to say that this is just like bark or something like that, or it's just the rhytodome that I'm talking about, but you know, it's very suggestive also the compositions that the branches make of like the respiratory system, not only just of us, but of animals and also of trees, but also, you know, reflecting on the respiratory system as like a part of basically that something was under attack during the pandemic, obviously, because if you had COVID, you had difficulty breathing anyways. And it was obviously something that, yeah, attacked the respiratory system as well. But also, just going back to the notion of bark, I also chose white, obviously, because it's a very like basic color. I just wanted to do something that was simple, but I also wanted to use a color that dialogued well with, you know, the white walls of a gallery space, so that it's almost as if the walls of the gallery space have like bark themselves, which is kind of funny to think of, like a wall having bark, even though it's not a tree. But you know, it makes you think about all of the materials that go into everything, all of our world around us, even architecture, so, and the buildings that we choose to live in. And what else did I want to say? So there was a lot of care that went into making this installation. I literally hand stitched all of the branches together. Yes, I hand stitched them all. So it was an act of love, and but yeah, it was really necessary for me. But also was like a way of like meditating. But these pieces also look like they're insect wings, or also you know, bird wings or something. So it's simultaneously something that's, you know, very light and playful, but it's also very heavy, because the sticks also kind of look like, you know, bones in a certain way, with the white covering them as well. So, but I also like that you can see the parts of the stick maybe that have lost parts of their bark, so that you can see just like this play of color a little bit. So, and then what else? That's about it. But again, so yeah, my husband in his writing, he wrote about a lot about breakdowns of communication, and also about the traumatic period of COVID. And his title is fantastic. It's Skin Reliquaries, and that which they covered and brought and that were brought, and that were brought beyond. Sorry, I always mess up this title because he always writes these long titles, so I'm sure I made a mistake. But anyways, so then that's where the dialogue is also with our work as well. So we also got a lot of inspiration just talking to the people of the small town, and so they kind of inspired our projects as well. So especially for him, because he is writing stories that revolve around people and identity, but also our bodies and all of the trauma that they carry with them, and so that's why also my installation is very corporeal and references bodily elements as well. It's like you can almost say that these pieces of cloth are almost like a skin in a way as well. Yes, and they almost like the playful nature of the flow of the installation also makes me think about like perhaps maybe a leaf falling and kind of like tumbling through the wind or something. So anyways, anyways, my artwork is open to interpretation. I don't want to say it's just this one thing. So I hope you enjoyed my explanation, and I'm curious to hear what you think about it.
Victoria, thank you so much for all your explanation. And dear friends, if you are living here in Florence, you should come and visit this exhibition.
Yes, absolutely. You have to come see Connection at Galleria Carta Vetra, and it's open in the afternoons, Monday through Saturday, from 3:30 to 7. And the art show closes on the 4th of March, so that's in about a week. But come, and then you can see the rest of the beautiful artwork as well. Yeah. We don't want to spoil everything. Yeah. Just a little bit. Bit with me, with some of the best artists in Florence.
Thank you, Victoria. I'm so lucky to have a friend like you. Thank you.
The lucky one, I think. Thank you for coming. I'm so happy.
Thank you.
Bye bye.